All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. So, it's been a big week in the National Football League. Of course, you know their premier event, the Super Bowl, took place this past Sunday, and they also won their grievance against the NFLPA in regards to having team report cards made public. Now, to me, the fact that the National Football League is so upset about having their dirty laundry put out there on Front Street, as these team report cards are basically an indictment as to what some teams do or don't do in regards to things like team facilities and how they treat their players. Okay. But the fact that they're so upset about this lets you know all that you really need to know about the situation. And of course, some of these team owners around the NFL were really upset that the team report cards were going public. And the team owner, who reportedly was at the forefront of the NFL's battle with the NFLPA over this, was none other than the guy who signs the checks for the New York Jets. And I'm talking about the one and only Robert Wood Johnson IV. Now, to me, the fact that Woody Johnson is more concerned about the public knowing about the team report cards than the product that he continues to put out there on the field lets you know all you need to know as far as why the Jets continue to be a laughing stock of the NFL. Now, aside from Johnson getting a big fat F on his report card from his players, his Jets have the longest current active playoff drought in the NFL, as they have not made the postseason since 2010. That's an indictment on him, okay? Because the buck stops with the team owner. Now, the under Woody Johnson, the Jets have not had a winning season since 2015. And 2019 was the last time that they did not lose at least 10 games in a season. The Jets' record so far this decade is 28 and 71. And to put that in perspective, the Jets' former first round quarterback, one Sam Darnold, who just won the Super Bowl with the Seattle Seahawks, he's won 28 games as a starting quarterback, that is, over the last two seasons. And you look at it, as far as being a joke goes, the Jets, to me, are the gift that keeps on giving. However, on Johnson's stewardship as their team owner, they are just flat out pathetic and hopeless. I mean, there's no other way to say it. You just think of so many things that have happened in the last couple of years on Woody Johnson's watch. Reports of him and his family using players' grades on Madden, the video game, to assess their talent, consistently meddling and undermining the staff under him. The defensive coordinator fiasco, okay, so far this offseason is all signs pointing to the Jets bringing in Wink Martindale to coach that unit. We saw Johnson nix that due to the fact that he was like, hey, he's paying the team's current head coach, Aaron Glenn, so much money. The defensive side of the football is Aaron Glenn's specialty, and he wants him in charge of the unit, in spite of the fact that, yeah, you know, the defensive side of the ball is Aaron Glenn's specialty, but that was one of the worst, the Jets defense, that is, was one of the worst defenses in the NFL this past season, especially in comparison to what the Jets were defensively under the former head coach, Robert Saleh, who, of course, Woody Johnson fired. You just think about the Aaron Glenn fiasco overall. So, whereas most people can see after Aaron Glenn's first years on the job as a head coach of the Jets, he was clearly in over his head. Okay, that included gangrene, losing their first 7 games to begin the season, and then, of course, being outscored 188 to 54 in their final 5 games. Woody Johnson, of course, opted to keep Aaron Glenn around as his head coach. Why? Because he simply didn't want to pay Aaron Glenn and have to go out there and pay another head coach. You think about Aaron Glenn, like I said, being in over his head, firing numerous. head coaches that he brought in, okay, after just 1 year. And of course, in the case of some of those coaches, they didn't even last 1 full year. Aaron Glenn got rid of both his offensive and defensive coordinators that he brought in. Okay. You can go right down the list. Okay. As far as the Jets go, they are on the highway to nowhere if they're not there already. Okay. And they're going to stay there as long as Woody Johnson continues to own this team. Things have gotten so bad for the New York Jets, okay, that some people who have owned season tickets since they were still playing at Shea Stadium, gives you an idea as to how long ago that was. They've started calling in their tickets, okay, and honestly, who should blame them? Because okay, every single team is not going to win a championship. I get it. Some teams are going to have long droughts when it comes to not winning a championship. But at some point, you want your team to give you some hope if you're a fan. There's no hope right there for the Jets right now. And with all of that said, how could or why would anybody want to be a fan of this team? And why would anybody want to go spend their hard earned money to go out there and buy a ticket and sit down and watch what the Jets and more importantly, Woody Johnson puts out there on a Sunday to Sunday basis in the fall? Okay. And if Woody Johnson thinks that the NFL winning in court over the report card fiasco is going to make his problems go away in regards to that, well, guess what? He needs to think again because the reports are still going to leak, okay? Because there's that little thing in the media which is known as an anonymous source. And I guarantee you, there's still going to be reporters itching to go out there and find some Jet players or find somebody within the organization who's willing to talk. And as bad as Woody Johnson has been as a team owner, I guarantee you there's going to be people, both players and personnel, who are going to be lining up to spill their beans anonymously. So, when it's all said and done, is Woody Johnson the worst team owner currently in the National Football League? I'll tell you like this, he is definitely in the conversation. And I mean, there are some bad team owners out there, but I think Woody Johnson, in my opinion, takes the cake. You're talking about a guy who's been around since 2000. The Jets only have one division title on his watch. Like I said before, not making the playoffs in 15 consecutive years is very difficult to do in the current age of the NFL. They play more games. There's more opportunities to get to the postseason with an additional wild card, and the Jets simply cannot get out of their own way. And like I said, you've got to go all the way back to 2019 to find the last time that the Jets didn't even lose 10 games at least in a regular season. So yes, Woody Johnson is definitely there. The question is there any hope for the Jets? And honestly, I'm going to say not that much because you take your cue from the top of your organization. And the bottom line is Woody Johnson's out to lunch. Okay. It's one of those where, yeah, the Jets have the second overall pick uh, coming up in April's draft, but you look at the people who are making the decisions for this team, you can't really be optimistic. So I'm looking at this team. Of course, if you're a Jet fan, you would love to see Woody Johnson sell this team. Ain't going to happen anytime soon. But the bottom line is, I just think the fact that Woody Johnson put up so much of an effort in court over the team report cards coming out as opposed to doing that half of that work to try to put up a decent product on a Sunday afternoon to show that his fans that he actually cares. Well, you know what? That says all you need to know about Woody Johnson. And more importantly, it says all that you need to know about the state of the New York Jets. That's the bottom line. He got a bad grade. The Jets are a bad organization. And at the end of the day, I'll just leave it right there. But, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank each and every one of you for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. And as always, If you like what you heard and saw on this podcast, you know what to do. Just hit that like button as well as subscribing to this channel. And like I always say, it's greatly appreciated. Also, if you are on the X, formerly known as Twitter, you can check me out anytime at 300 pounds of sports. And like I always say, if you give me that follow, it will be my pleasure to do the same in return. Also, if you are on Instagram, same thing. Check me out at 300 pounds of sports knowledge. Give me the follow. I'll give you the follow right back. And also, if you're on Facebook, definitely be sure to check out the Sports Depot 365. And as far as I'm concerned, one of the better sports groups going on social media. But until next time, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I'm signing off. And I'm saying thanks once again for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. Be well, everybody.